Now we are moving on to our next panel discussion. The topic is AI-powered smart tourism 2.0 in this agent era, the potential of generative AI. Our moderator in this section is Professor Uli Gretschel from the University of Southern California. Our panelists are Professor Dimitrios Boualis from Vermont University, Professor Chunmo Koo from Kyung University, Professor Jen Xiang from Virginia Tech Institute and State University. And we have also online panelists. Online panelists are Professor Sihan Kovalov from Bersand University and Professor Raj Rao from the University of Texas at San Antonio. Please welcome our moderator and panelists with a big round of applause.
Hello, welcome to this session, and welcome especially to the online contributors, panel members. Jihan, nice to see you there, and Professor Rao. I don't know if you can see any of us, but we are here in a big room, and we have Chulmo, Phil, and Dimitrios on the stage with me here today. So, I guess I should not, move too much. Sorry. Technical issues.
Another one. Find one. It's okay. Yes. It's working.
All right, let's try this again. So welcome everyone. I'm actually excited that we have a little bit of time to have a discussion and also then invite the audience to ask questions. So this is more of an interactive session. And I'm going to start us off by asking, is AI actually end of smart tourism, or is AI actually going to propel smart tourism? So, Dimitrios, an opinion. What's going on with AI and smart tourism? Is this an opportunity or a challenge?
Great. Are you here?
No, I don't think so.
Thank you. Great to be with you. Thank you for the invitation. Well done, Chulmo and colleagues. It's quite interesting that we keep giving labels to different things. But I'd like to take you back for the last 20, 30 years and how things have progressed. When we started with internet, and then we were saying what's going to happen and how everything's going to change, it was about, around 95, where World Wide Web was coming out, and we're saying what's going to happen, how. It feels exactly the same with AI now, because AI is changing everything. Smart is really, we started smart about 10 years ago, 2015, well, 2025. Everybody was talking about smart, but actually they are not doing smart. If you go around, there are very few places, very few destinations, very few hotels who are actually doing smart. And the first thing I do when I start teaching my students is I say smartness is not about technology. Smartness is about operationalizing and optimizing networks, using technology as the infrastructure, but actually smartness is not about technology. So, the smartest technology that you find right now in the tourism industry is WhatsApp or WeChat. And you can see how many people are using it and how effective it is. So going back to your question, because you need that kind of discussion. I think AI is changing everything we know, because for the first time ever, technology is going to make decisions for us without us. So far, technology has been making decisions, or has been helping us make decisions. So for the first time ever, technology makes decisions for us without us, and also for the first time ever, we don't have two human beings supported by technology at the back, or multiple human beings supported by technology at the back, to actually make the decisions. But you'll have a series of different AI agents which are going to negotiate between themselves about what's going to happen. So if I'm about to have a conversation with Chulmu, we will agree, disagree, but at some stage there are some principles in our behavior, and we will stop or will encourage or go backwards and forwards. AI and the agents will have the principles that we will program to them. So that's why I'm saying at this stage we're going to have totally new era that is going to transform everything we do. And that's so exciting and so dangerous at the same time.
So let me follow up on this then, just real quick. Are you saying that this will basically mean that there's less need for smart tourism, or are you actually saying we actually need more of that smart development framework because AI is going to take over some of the smaller decisions and is going to be agentic, so we need to have kind of collective, more of the principles of smart.
I see smart tourism and smartness as a process of, as a way that we process different functions within the ecosystem. So smartness is the name of the marketplace out there. Smart is the MGM. What happens in the MGM, there are a lot of different things that are happening. You've got the accommodation, you know, Ms. Ho did a very nice presentation. They must have about 100 food and beverage outlets. They have huge entertainment issues, scenes and different things. They've got thousands of bedrooms. They've got awfully lot of space for exhibition. So this is the physical element. And then you've got the big destination kind of, resort kind of thing, where smartness includes all the process within that ecosystem. What AI is doing is changing all the processes and all the functions of the system. I used to remember, there are some good benefits about being old. My first technology I used was telex with a tape. I vividly remember receiving my first fax in 97. In 87, sorry. And start changing the way we're communicating. This is exactly what's happening now, is AI is going to change the processes and the functions and what we're doing within the big ecosystem of smart tourism and smart technology within the physical infrastructure that we've got. And actually what's going to happen is that this is then going to change the physical infrastructure. It will change the business infrastructure, because if AI can do all kinds of things, why would you need 6 companies operating the facilities here and you don't have 3 companies operating the facilities? Would that be more efficient? Would that be more cost effective? Or how are you going to operate on the GBA area where you integrate with different areas? These opportunities that we've never had before, because it gives us endless processing power, 1. 2, it makes decisions for us instead of us. And that is the interesting thing that's going to change our smartness. Because I'm facing a problem right now, right? And the problem is tomorrow I'm going to Macau, to Hong Kong. I'll arrive there something like 12 o'clock, and I'm flying 12 o'clock at night back to London. Now, this is the outline of my problem. Now, I've got 2 bags that I need to check in, which I don't need them in Hong Kong, and I need them somehow to disappear from here and arrive in London Heathrow on Sunday morning. This is my problem, business travel problem. For the time being, with all the technology of the world, nobody can give me an answer. You know what I did 3 o'clock in the morning? I sent a message, I sent an email to the concierge in Hotel Icon, because they're nice guys in Hong Kong, and I said, guys, can you please help me? And 8 o'clock in the morning, I had an answer from the concierge. I said, okay, take the boat, go there, drop the bag at the Hong Kong MTR, and then you collect it. With all the technology in the world, with all us dealing with that, we cannot sort out basic problems. And then I said, do I have enough money on my Octopus card? So I had to transfer money from my British bank to the Hong Kong bank to get enough credit to buy that. All that has taken quite a lot of my thinking power to actually do. You would expect, but 10 years after we were talking about smart tourism, all of these things, we would say, okay, I'm here, I need to go there. Please tell me how I'm doing it, facilitate it, don't give me any hassle. Real problem now, today. And this is exactly what we're doing, and I think AI is going to start looking into a lot of these things. Why? Because it's going to collect big data from wherever the data is, so that it will be the best concierge that you'll have, and then it will integrate a whole range of things. Now, health warning. I'm a technology evangelist. I can see good things. I can see thousands of things that can go wrong. But I'm trying to get some of my critical friends to look into those.
Great. Phil, AI. Is it going to be a good thing for smart tourism, or the end of it?
Well, thank you, Dimitrios, Uli, and Chomo for sharing the stage with you. This is a big question. But to answer your question, Uli, I think let's go back to the notion of smart tourism. What does it really mean, right? So how AI is going to impact smart tourism, whether it's going to make it better, make it worse, or make it disappear, I have no idea. But think about the notion, of smart tourism. Smart tourism is really, Dimitrios said, is the framework. Yes, it is the framework. It's an ideal state, right? We want destination, want tourism to be smart. So we published the article, remember, Uli, and together with Uli, Chormo, and Professor Mariana Segana 10 years ago, right? This is the title of the article is called Smart Tourism Conceptual Foundation and Development, right? So this is where we kind of started, right? The reason for us to write that article was because all of a sudden we realized that tourism, in terms of its relationship with technology, has evolved, has changed in a really fundamental way, right? Dimitrios talked about the beginning of tourism, technology. That was really the so-called the e-tourism era, where everything was about websites, right? We're going to use website to connect with people, to sell our stuff, sell destinations, right? This is what we did in the first sort of the era. That was about 10, 15 years, right? Starting from Enter and the things. Now, with social media, with Internet of Things, right? With smartphone, right? Now we realized, everything was about data, right? So we came up with the notion of smart tourism, which consists of 3 layers of smartness, right? The experience layer, the business layer, and destination governance layer. And data fits into this, right? From the research standpoint, it's really about collecting and processing, analyzing data that fits into the system. This is what happened 10 years ago. Now, 10 years later, we realized, well, things have evolved again, right? Again. And this is the big change. And this is something we call AI. That's why we wrote another article called Smart Tourism 2.0, AI-driven, right?
AI-powered.
AI-powered, which was recently published in electronic markets, owing to Uli, Gretzel, and Chomo Ku, and one of our colleagues at Hong Kong Poly, Song Shin, myself. So we put together a kind of another framework of looking at so-called the smartness, right? Things have changed. You know, underlying all these changes are the notion of how we define smart, how we define smartness. Yes, technology continues to evolve, no doubt about it. Are we there yet? Are we, you know, doing everything smart? I don't know, right? You know, because it's a moving target. We want to be good at doing things, but the target is always moving because of technology continues to evolve. But the principles, right? The principles of understanding and practicing smart tourism remain. You know, back 10 years ago, we talk about accessibility, mobility, creativity, and sustainability. Those principles, we call them pillars, right? Still remain, right? Probably, if you ask me, is AI going to change everything? Yeah, kind of, but not really, right? What we desire, you know, as the ideal state of smart tourism probably remains, right? We want to maintain those principles. So in a short answer,
Yeah.
maybe that's how I
Great
like
answer.
to respond. Yeah.
All right,
Thank
so
you.
Phil thinks that the pillars will remain the same. Chomo, do you think AI will be just another technology in the smart tourism toolbox, or will it fundamentally change how we think about smart tourism?
Very challenging question. Actually, you know, tourism and travel is everybody's business. And currently, from the young generation to the old generation, seniors, they are utilizing smartphone and AI very well. So how can I express myself? My opinion is better than others. So, but my personal opinion about the smart tourism and AI at this moment, because of AI, I feel more confidence, especially something got an idea or something, you know, I need to urgently ask something, you know, information about around surrounding me in Macau right this time. Couple of weeks ago, I listening the discussion, a interview with Jensen Huang. He said he using ChatGPT every day, every moment, and he said I feel more confident. I'm totally agree with his point. Because of AI, I can ask somebody who are more knowledgeable than me about a certain domains, certain, you know, specific domains and a certain professional area. So even when I writing papers in English, I'm a second language speaker. So the other days I need somebody who can see my manuscript, but you know, 90% is no longer necessary. Those are native speakers. I'm using the ChatGPT for correct my manuscript. I'm asking again to professional proofreader, you know, from people. So exactly something like this, tourism is exactly happening right now by using of technology, especially we labeling it smart tourism by using of a smartphone. So the smartphone is IT-enabled tourism, IT-mediated tourism, IT-assisted tourism, IT facilitating tourism. So everything is driven by technology, smartphone. So definitely I trust AI will lead humanness to be more clever and to be more cognitive, to be more emotional, to be more naturally involved in any situation. So I think tourism is a phenomenon, ism, communism, tourism, feminism, postmodernism. That's why we are looking at the current situation. The time is being evolutionized and changing. It's rather than we are faster than the economics and politics, their department. And I think it's a sociology, biology, and technology, and psychology. These days is a logos, is knowledge. So we are slowly weaker point comparing to those traditional department and logical aspect of a study. But we are looking at the current situation where the current they're happening. So I think tourism is keep fastly changing with a advent of technology, especially AI. So it's going to be big, huge chance for us to open up the chance ideas.
Okay, great. Professor Kovanoglu, do you think AI is just another tool, or is it going to be a paradigm in terms of how we think about smart tourism and smart hospitality?
Dr. Oli, did you ask me or
Yes.
Okay. I have the internet connection is a little bit choppy at times, so I apologize. I may miss some of the parts. I just agree with all the panelists, absolutely. So, in terms of this question, the way that I usually define smart, just the definition of smart, but not smart tourism, is any technology. When I say technology, I do not mean a computer system or AI or anything that makes anything faster, cheaper, more efficient, more sustainable. To me, that's the definition of smart. And when I look at the Journal of Hospitality Technology papers that have been submitted over the last 15 years, since its inception, what I find is similar to some of the panelists have said that, Smart Tourism 1.0 was more about the particular technological items like Internet of Things sensors, RFID, NFC, mobile apps, basic automation, cloud platforms, social media data. I mean, I can just go on and on. Right now, what we see is the AI is a layer, integral part of smart tourism. Now we are seeing, again, I'm talking about all the papers that have been submitted. I actually did an analysis of the papers, which I submitted to Dr. Chulmoko earlier, is now autonomous AI agents, AI chatbots and robots, predictive intelligence, real-time decisioning, the term of hyper-personalization. Again, these every single the terminology here that I cite comes from a paper that's published in JHTT, generative AI experience, etc. So long story short, as an answer, absolutely, they are a continuation, is a progress of one another. So yeah, let me just stop here, Dr. Gretzel.
Great. Sorry. With all the talk about AI, we still have some basic technology issues here with microphones and internet connections. Professor Rao, in terms of the role of AI and how it's going to change what we do in industry and academia.
Thanks for the question. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. First of all, let me apologize for not being there, but I do have to blame our political, the government, which would not allow me to travel. So unfortunately, I couldn't be part of today's gathering, and I really miss it. And thank you, Cholmo, for inviting me to be part of this panel. So uh, there's one aspect um, which I think hasn't been covered so far. So when we are looking at smart tourism, obviously we're looking at algorithmic decision making. We're looking at platform ecosystems. We're looking at data-driven service innovation, and we are looking at human AI interaction. And getting them all together is, of course, a massively difficult issue. And I would say that most of the um, programs that are out there, which are called Smart 2.0, are more proof of concepts, and that is very well and good. But crossing into the enterprise scale is what would really be needed to make it a success. And there are multiple reasons for that. One is, of course, the structural issue itself. So you have data fragmentation, you have vendor silos, you have legacy stacks. It's difficult to see the full picture and also act in a safe manner. To give you an example, 2 days ago, I was getting into a flight. At the door of the aircraft, we were told that the pilot had sensed some vibration which did not sound right, and had called in the engineer. And the engineer, after 30 minutes, said that we have to change aircraft. So the human in the loop is absolutely critical, because if the sound right had not happened, maybe the pilot would have taken off, and God knows what would have happened. So you can go smart up to a particular point, but you cannot go all the way to the end. The and part of the issue, of course, is how do you get all the data together in one place at the same time? From the point of view of the passengers, we were stuck in a sense because we had crossed the boarding gates. The tickets had been scanned in, and we were at the door of the aircraft. Now we had to get out, and it's not a straightforward issue at all, because you cannot go back to where you were sitting. We had to go out of the air, not only the boarding area, we had to go outside of the airport and recheck in and redo the security and then get back in. So the complexities are pretty amazing. And so I would say smartness can work in certain specific aspects, but getting everything to work together is not at all so easy. The second thing is, where do we trust the system and where do we not trust the system? We've all heard of hallucinations, and sometimes hallucinations are worse than in other places. And the question becomes, which hallucination do we learn to live with, and which hallucination could become extraordinarily dangerous? So these are complex issues, potential disruptions which could have an end-to-end impact. And so I would say that though we talk of Smart 2.0, the really getting to a situation where the algorithms do everything for us is still far away.
Well,
I don't know if I answered your question, but
yeah, I think you're raising a lot of very important and interesting points. And I'm going to actually ask you a follow-up question and then ask that question to everybody else as well. One of the ideas behind smart tourism was also the idea of open data, right? And data exchange and data flows. And you are now saying, well, actually, we still have data silos. AI is all about data, and we are having a lot of conversations now about the data ownership, rights over data, data really representing power. So can you tell us a little more about how you think about this. Do you think that companies will become more willing to open up the data, or is it actually the opposite? Are they going to fortify those data silos?
Yeah, we are in the horns of a dilemma. I mean, on the one hand, we need connections, we need collaborations, but on the other hand, you have privacy issues, we have data security issues. How do we actually come up with guardrails that work under the policies, under the permissions, under the SLAs? It's not a trivial task. So you think of managing a journey for a customer from end to end. You need people to rebook uninterrupted flights within fair rules, update travelers' transportation while making sure that no private information is leaked, and while making sure that there is no, I would say, no pricing increase. Service recoveries are straightforward. There's no single answer to your question, and at least not now. I would say maybe 5 or 10 years in the future we may have something, but we cannot just assume that Smart 2.0 is good enough. In the chatbot area, of course, we do have a lot of progress. But when we go beyond that, that's where the issues come in, being able to remap travel and so on and so forth. So I don't have an answer, and I'm not sure many people do.
Okay, Jian, your thoughts on this? Any opinion on what's happening with data, the value of data?
Sure, absolutely. You know, one of the things right now that we hear about the large language models, LLMs, are the how those models are trained. What is the legal implications of the data they are using? I see that some companies are even suing some of these large language model companies because they use the data without any authorization to train itself. So that's a very, you know, that's going to be more and more apparent. Right now, everybody is like kind of like feeling drunk with all the Gen AI items. It makes life easier, etc. But in reality, go and ask a hospitality company in Macau. Go one of the casinos. Tell them that give me your data, all the sales data, all your customers, guests, all of your employees. Nobody's going to give you that, right? That's strategic data. That's the DNA of hospitality or the business in that particular case. So there is a reason why companies in the context of hospitality and tourism may share data, not just business mission critical data, but maybe the data that will enable all of us collectively to be able to make some trends, some predictions, some of the things. So that is something that I think it's going to be more apparent in the near future. That's going to tackle us also. And I invite people. We are just doing a special issue actually in Journal of Global Business Insights right now that tackle this ethical use of AI, including data. Microphone is not working. We cannot hear you.
I said I'm looking forward to checking that out. Thank you so much. Chulmo, Korea was actually one of the forerunners for all that open data, open innovation kind of trend. And I remember all the competition hosted by the Korean government. What's going on in Korea these days in terms of data? I'm not sure if this one works. And
Korea is one of the fast follow in areas. Like we are a bit behind from the advanced country, but we are catching up the advanced country in terms of IT, in terms of the AI. However, as we know, everybody knows the AI is developed a long history from the computer history. But actually, they're commercialized for AI is generated by ChatGPT, Sam Altman, and those those peoples. So actually, those are giant IT tech companies and guys actually lead the innovation of the world business and history, not the Korean government, Korean companies. But we are acknowledging the world is changing, and then again, our gene and genetics of Koreans are pali, speedy, and resilient and fast. So we cannot hesitate how the world is changing right now, and the government pouring the money to catch up that new trend of AI. And so right now, I think government is drive this paradigm shift to catch up the advanced company, giant tech, and the United States, and even mainland China. So as Korea, we didn't pave the way of commercialized AI, but we are catching up the trend, and individually Korean people and companies adopt ChatGPT and AI for their purpose of solving the task and solution, which means, again, the Korean genes is catching fast, speedy, pali, and then that's gonna be, we are probably next learners, and the next stage, we will lead this area comparing to other countries, and right behind probably United States, probably mainland China. Because we have a component like Samsung and especially the GPT, they use Samsung's chips. And NVIDIA, they come to Korea to buy the chips produced by Korea. And we have a test bed, we have people here. And so I think it's in order to fully development of the atmosphere of AI in factory-based, in user-based, and in the stakeholder-based, so it's a right spot for everything. So condition is fully supportive for the changing.
So it's not just about the LLMs, it's actually the infrastructure around it too. Great. Phil, yeah.
I have a comment. Since you brought up Korea, I think my comment is, I would like to go back to again, the notion of smart development, smart tourism. I think if you look at globally, right, it's not evenly distributed, right? Certain countries, regions are more advanced than others, right? If you take Korea and China, now China, whenever I go visit, after visiting China, whenever I go back to the US, I've been telling my colleagues, you guys have to get out of the US and go visit China because everything is moving so fast. From fast train to internet to, there's also different levels and different areas of technological adoption that are more advanced than others. High-speed train is one of those. But if you look at smartphones, right, and AI-driven based applications, WeChat and those guys are doing a great job, right, by integrating, all kinds of programs into one. Instead of using like us in the US, right, you have to download hundreds of apps in order to access their services. But in WeChat, it's just one click, right? It's one search, and you have all these mini programs integrated. Fantastic, beautiful. But through my experience with visiting China, there's also different levels of technology integration. Some are better than others, even within China. Like in the hotel rooms, right? There are all kinds of robots and voice-enabled kind of interfaces to those things. Some of them are good, are okay. Some are really stupid, to be honest with you, right? Like voice-driven stuff. If you have can you imagine if you have a roommate who actually in the midnight you want to wake up the AI, and the AI is so loud, right? It's kind of silly. Why would you do that, right? So it's a process, right? So this is the comment I want to kind of share with you guys. And back to the data thing. I think data is really, really the gray area, right? It's the wild, wild west. We really don't have the good grasp on what it really means. And there's a common kind of the saying that if you, like on the internet, everything is free, information is free, but well, there's a cost. We know that there's a cost. So if you are using a product that is free to you, it means you are actually the product, right? On Facebook, on LinkedIn, right? It's the people, it's the individual users who are actually a product of the platform. It's the same now with AI. You pay, I know sometimes we pay for AI, but there's free service of AI. If you are using AI for free, it means you are actually, AI is using your data to test the algorithms, right, to develop the algorithms. So it's always this kind of the tension between, ownership, privacy, and the commercialization of technology. And it's evolving fast. So this is the problem we're facing. Yeah. And of course, this has a lot of implications for travel, tourism, hospitality.
Great. Demetrius, your thoughts about data?
I think we're using legacy thinking. I think we all have been in this business for a long time. We're thinking about the past. In fact, what's happening is that we're driving looking at the mirror. I think we are not grasping where we are going, and we are not looking far enough to see what exactly is going on. And what is going on is you have got a very different situation where what you did in the past is irrelevant. Some of you will remember the IATA tickets for airlines. And you remember how we the IATA ticket to the electronic ticket. All this is irrelevant. A lot of the things that we're doing is irrelevant. Data is coming from zillions of different sources. And we still think about proprietary data. I was sitting with the National Tourism Organization recently, and they were telling me how frustrated they are that they don't have the data, and people are very protective about their data. So we designed 2 or 3 different problems. And then I said to them, where is the data coming from? Oh, they were telling me, this guy has got the data. I said, okay, let's see what data has this guy got, and what other data do you have around from wherever the other data are. The minute we start thinking about plural sources of data, the minute that we start thinking about how we can engage in different things. I mean, data about arrivals in a destination, let's say Hong Kong, right? Where are they coming from? If you really want the actual data, come from the GDSs. You go back to Amadeus, to Galileo, to these guys and say, okay, how many bookings have you got? How many people have actually did the inquiry to booking? What is the prediction based on the number of? Now, if you don't have that, you have other sources. You may have Google, you may have other sources that is looking for things. We're still thinking at the back. Someone has got the data. We need to preserve this data, and we need to kind of do things. I think the main message is that the world is changing dramatically. I see now robots, and I see how people are designing robots. And they are designing robots to behave like humans. So I was just looking into some of the videos that are coming out about how can a robot refill your car with petrol. Why would you refill with petrol? Why would you need a robot to open the thing like a human being to refill you with petrol? And this is the myopia we have. We have huge myopia in this area. And that's why most of the innovations in tourism and hospitality are not coming from tourism and hospitality professionals. They are coming from other professionals that they are not really biased, they are not really institutionalized into our situation. You really need to think about process, you really need to think about value, you really need to think about ecosystems, and you need to think about how can we go from here we are to there without necessarily looking back. And that's a huge danger, and I see that in a lot of panels like that people are assessing what they knew 10 years ago, which rather than what is going to happen 10 years ahead.
I'm going to open up to questions from the audience after this round, but you mentioned something that I actually wanted to ask you all about. And this is the not invented here kind of syndrome in tourism, where we constantly have these technologies disrupt everything that come from the outside. And are not necessarily designed with tourism in mind or hospitality, or it's very hard to then put the governance on top of them. So for example, what happens if ChatGPT recommends something that is very risky and you actually have an accident, right? And so who takes on the responsibility? We have structures in place in tourism for tour operators, for attractions, for hotels, right, to assess and deal with risk and ensure and recover. So also we have local communities that kind of want to have a say in what we do in tourism. So now we have these AI companies, just like Airbnb and all the platforms before TripAdvisor kind of changed the name of the game. So is this you say this is a good thing because it brings in innovation? Do you see any potential for maybe negative aspects of this too?
You remember I said I'm an evangelist. I see the good things. I'm a good guy, you know. The bad things I leave to the critical guys. So that is a disclaimer. But actually what's happening is that the technology, and it's not static, it's moving. And if bad things happen, we will learn much faster. Because in the past, we didn't know until someone told you. When you were following advice of a friend of yours, you never did risk analysis. You know, I've managed to live all my life without doing a risk analysis, and I didn't need the tour operator to tell me that if you go to a hotel in Spain, something may go wrong. In fact, the tour operator was charging 40% of the profit margin. I'm a Greek hotelier, right? So when the tour operator was coming to us, to do what they call safety security, they were taking 40% of the profit margin that was staying in Germany or in England or wherever else, not going to the destination, not be spent on the local markets. So there are a lot of things that we kind of assume that they were right and assume they were wrong. What's going to happen is that the system will learn from experience. And now you've got feedback that is instant. And it's going to say to people, don't do this, do that, do the other. The way to think about this, it's an intelligent conscious that's constantly learning everything that needs to be learned out there. And of course, you've got a stupid user as well that's going to do all kinds of things. But it's really about looking into how can you use these things in a very intelligent way, how the system can learn dynamically. Most of the information that we've got out there is static. It has been produced, you know, all the data that people are, you know, you go to a national tourism organization, you open their data, and it's history. It's about what happened 3 years ago, because they did a survey, they collected the data, and they say, we've got the data. The data is useless, because they don't know what happened yesterday. They don't have a prediction of what's going to happen tomorrow. They're doing forecast with data the historical. Then you've got something like COVID, and all the forecasts going out of the window, and then we're trying to see what's going to happen. We learned something during COVID. We learned how to be agile because we had to. We had to learn how to operate with an hour's notice of things opening, things closing, restaurants closed in Hong Kong with 3 days' notice. Everything that they had on the refrigerators had to go. All the staff rotas had to change. So we have never had anything like that. But I think by learning agility, by learning dynamic things, by using the new tools that are emerging, we're going to a very different area, and this is uncharted waters. We have never been there before. So health warning, do not look at the mirror. Start thinking forward. Start thinking about where we're going to go with the new technology to co-create value, address the local residents, address the safety, security. All of these issues remain, but the way of doing it is changing. I mean, who will think that they'll step in a car that drives itself and go somewhere?
All right, Phil, is it a good thing that Silicon Valley is driving this or not?
I'm very concerned, to be honest, because if you look back again, when was Google launched? Was early 1990s, right? This has been like 93, I think. Yes, 7? Okay. So this is like 30 years, right? And the U.S. government is still fighting Google, right? There's lots of, infringements on privacy, right? Antitrust. So I'm not taking side. U.S. government is correct, but this is the ongoing struggle between, in terms of understanding the impact, whether negative or positive, on society, right, on economy. It's the same thing with AI now. We're facing. I agree with Dimitrios that we are really getting into the uncharted water now, because AI, there's a range of AI, right? There's very basic AI now. We're talking about, as in the title of this panel, it's Agentic AI, right? Agentic AI, right? Which means AI can act on its own, right? Once you give the instructions to the AI, hey, go do something about something, right? Give me a travel plan. And AI will go collect information, process, understand, and interpret, and putting together a travel plan for you. So there's a level of, say, concerns of reliability, validity, and trustworthiness, right? From the consumer, from the user standpoint, this is the huge concern, which is quite, in terms of the level, or the magnitude of the issues, I think is way stronger than, say, 20 years ago, right? This is really kind of the scary for me. But also from the, you mentioned, Uli, about communities, government, right? Tourism stakeholder point of view, right? The impacts on the communities, on businesses, on, residents, right? It's difficult at this stage to process, to understand. When we study Google and search engines, the social media, we always raise the question, how are the little guys, right? Tourism enterprises, communities represented through these tools, because it's a big deal for tourism, right? If you want to protect them, right? To make sure that actually those little guys can benefit from tourism. Now it's the same thing with AI. How do you understand that? I was really happy to listen to yesterday's first keynote, the professor from Tsinghua University, talking about using technology to assist, senior citizens with, disabilities, mobility issues. I think it's a good start, right? It's the same with AI. How we can use AI, whether agentic or not, right, to help with people with, say, different levels of vulnerabilities to whatever technology, right? So this is kind of my concern.
All right, Shulmo, do you think tourism needs to be more involved in AI development, or do we leave it all to OpenAI and
I believe
friends?
tourism and tourism industry, tourism professionals cannot develop any AI systems management. We just adopt from outside. Thinking about the back to last 50 years, Bill Gates bring the personal computer with Steve Jobs. And then suddenly 10 years later, internet occupied all of the world, and the traditional business changing to e-business and e-commerce and e-tourism. And e-tourism, Dmitry wrote a great book about the e-tourism. He didn't invent e-tourism. He followed the trend, right? Am I right? You invented the internet? Or you're the god of... And then again, 10 years later, Steve Jobs again, he bring the smartphone. And because of that, the normal phone like a Nokia and BlackBerry is gone away. And again, 10 years later, AI transformed the current conventional business, embedding the AI into the conventional systems. Probably the tourism guys, and we cannot implement or develop any tourism systems. Rather than we utilize it precisely, we utilize it connecting the human business in tourism and AI, which is definitely assisting humanness in tourism sectors. So I think we need to collaborate with the IT guys and computing system guys and
Basically, on your point, what's happening is that we're going technology, computer guys, Hannes Werner and all these guys, they were talking about the new technologies and they were bringing new techniques out. They are going like that. And they were thinking or they are fantasizing what we can use in tourism. And what I've done over the years and what we've done with them is go step by step. So technologies, they develop a new kind of technologies. Quantum computing will be the next big thing, right? But we're still not looking at it yet. So they're developing the thing, then we're developing the application. The minute we're developing the application, they say, if you have that, what about this? So we're going step by step with the technology guys to move forward.
All right, Jihan, does tourism and hospitality have agency in this, or are we just going to have to wait and see what the AI companies are going to do, and then we just adapt?
So in terms of, you're asking about agentic AI, right?
Well, I'm asking about the role of tourism and hospitality in it. Can we be part of the development of agentic AI, or is it just going to be AI doing whatever it does?
I see. In terms of agentic AI, when I look at the applications in the hospitality and tourism industry, that I see that there are some amazing potential. However, in my research, when I was designing the call for papers for the Journal of Global Business Insights about this particular topic, that I really didn't see a lot of examples. So based on my research on finding some examples in hospitality and tourism, in the context of agentic AI, I'm not talking about just AI, but agentic AI, that there are some amazing potential, but there is not really any advancement that will lead the other industries. Revenue and pricing has a huge potential to be an agentic AI. There is a lot of technology that's being used, but at the end of the day, when you look at all these hotels, when they are making pricing decisions, it comes to a manual decision making. So AI agents can detect the convention surge reallocates the room inventory from OTAs direct channels automatically. That's one thing. The other one is, a huge potential in hospitality industry is the guest experience, which is also known as digital shadow or, e-reputation, so to speak, right? Observing what's going on in the real life, compared to what Dimitros was saying earlier, that something is happening right now, and taking action to be able to control that image in the sense of particular companies or maybe destinations. And also another huge potential is irregular operations, disruptions agents for airports, airlines and cruises. When the weather strikes, congestion, whatever that might happen, to be able to recognize it in advance and automatically cancel the flights, therefore make the efficiency much higher, etc. So again, as a short answer to your question, Uli, is that unfortunately, I don't, at least in the current form, do not see hospitality and tourism leading the agentic AI development and progress.
Makes sense. Professor Rao, you are not a tourism person, but do you want to say something about business in general, or maybe even academia and our role in driving the AI development? Or is
Yeah.
it- Go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm not a tourism person, but I do a lot of tourism. So, so I am obviously aware of a lot of these things that are going on, and uh, clearly I can see a need for AI in terms of greater efficiencies, greater personalization, sustainability, and uh, whatever we do need some fundamental pillars. So, for example, explainability. If there's a price change, we would like to know the reason, a plain language reason for price changes, or robustness in edge cases. For example, if there's inconsistent PNR data, um, or having a design of the system that would avoid bias and serve guests across abilities and languages. Um, so these are all important. Simple autonomy will not work, and anything that is being done would have to stand up to cross-industry test beds with common benchmarks and vendors. So metrics, of course, revenue metrics, of course, matter, but then in recovery speed, fairness, accessibility, these are all important things in the particular context that so whatever helps in getting to our goals, whether it be taking into account personal constraints, rebooking automatically if there's disruptions, personalizing in real times, showing up across the traveler life cycle, all these things do matter. And uh, I'm very involved with these from a customer point of view, even though I'm not as a researcher point of view.
Yeah, I think those are very important things that maybe the tech companies are not thinking about, and where they need that business perspective in order to develop those agentic AI applications. Now, I would like to hear from the audience. Do we have a question for this distinguished panel? Yes, Oriol.
Well, thank you very much, first of all, for this outstanding conversation. I would like to connect with an idea that Professor Bohali said at the beginning, that AI will start making decisions in tourism. And when I think on my field, which is smart tourism destinations, I think that scholars are working with issues more related to governance, which means opening decision-making to more people, and smart governance is more about making more people participant of the conversation. But at the end, the final decision is always a human decision, and not also in scholars, but I had a meeting 2 weeks ago with Professor Maria Velasco from Segitur now, and they understood smart tourism destination as a tool for making management more easier and planning more easier, but for persons, for humans. So I would like to ask you, how do you think both trends of opinion or both ideas will fit in a near future where, of course, AI will take an important role? Thank you very much.
So who's going to make the decisions?
Who makes the decision? I think the machine will make the decision, and it will optimize the decision. So what's happening is that for the time being, the humans are going to do the policy. They'll do the strategy. They'll say, okay, I like to preserve this. This is really important. This is what I'm going to do. But I think the machine will have power to actually calculate, predict, forecast, and direct in certain things. The best destination in the world, what is the best destination in the world? Disneyland. Why is the best destination in the world? Because you can control everything. Okay. When you have a situation where everything's going, you can decide when do you close an attraction, which attraction do you close, where do you send the train, where do you send Mickey to say hello. And it in a similar situation, the machine AI will enable us to do all of these things, and the human intervention will be on the policy, on the strategy. This is what I'd like to do, this is what I don't like to do. This is the price I'm going to charge at 11 o'clock in the morning. This is the price I'm going to charge at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, where everybody has got siesta, and I don't have the pressure in a particular place. So that's my vision.
Thank you.
All right, Phil, any comment on that? Who's going to decide what the decisions are that we're going to make, and who's going to make the decisions? Are we going to outsource our decision making to AI, or is it going to be the destinations?
Like from the consumer point of view, from the
Destination. Yeah.
destinations management point of view, I believe it's not a good idea to outsource, the decisions to AI, right? This is why we're talking about governance, right? Sure, it doesn't get out of control. AI, there's in the general AI literature, there's a conversation about alignment problems, right? When we talk about alignment, it's about values, right? In tourism, value is about, communities, residents, visitor experiences. Those are the values we talk about. So we want to make sure AI actually aligns with that. But I think there's a broader picture to this. In the previous comment about data and those things, for me it's a very concerning, because Dimitrios is a proponent. He's the advocate of technology. Technology is always going to enable. Yeah, kind of, but also it creates disruption, right? Creates problems for society. If you look back, in terms of social media, of course, social media bring a lot of, convenience, social connectivity, community, sense of community, that kind of stuff. But also, it creates huge impact on society. If you look at the U.S., right, the society is so much polarized and owing a lot to social media. Is AI going to do the same thing to humans, as individual, as groups, as society? This is a big problem. So this is where my concern comes from.
Dimitrios wanted to follow up on that.
Quite often we fantasize that humans are doing better than technology. How long does it take a planning officer in Spain to make a decision? And if you have a problem in a particular place, let's say Toledo, okay, you've got a big problem in Toledo on 3 or 4 things. So what's happening is that the officer, with all the goodwill of the world, that has got zillions of other things, is going to collect all this information. It's going to take 6 months, and then it's going to have all the representation, all the stakeholders, have a conversation for about another 4 months, and if you are lucky, a decision is going to be happening in a year's time. In the meanwhile, the problem will be persisting, the problem will be growing, and nobody will know. This is the situation. Humans are not necessarily better than technology. I'm provoking you, but actually, the same thing happens with revenue management. How many years have we had this conversation about whether the machine can do better revenue management, but the human revenue management? And every time the machine was winning. Now, the issues that Phil is talking about, they're all real, but this is a matter of policy. So these are the parameters that you say, I would like to keep these parameters into this place, and I'd like you to optimize this and make the decision in 3 days, not in 3 months, not in 1 year, because the problem persists, and I need to sort out now. And I can give you endless issues like this.
Now we're going.
I agree. Let's play. Think about smartphone apps and those things, right? Yeah, it's so convenient, right? I have everything at the fingertip, right? No doubt about it. But if you go to those attraction, tourist places, cultural heritages, everyone is on their phone. This drives me crazy. Why would you? Yes, it's their choice, but technology is the enabler of that, right? Why would you do that, right? Think about our next generation, our young people. Everyone is addicted to smartphones. Is it good? I don't know. The answer is, so what I mean is that, well, technology gives us a lot of benefits, no doubt about it. But we have to be, as intellectual, as academics, we have to be critical.
Just one critical keyword, the brain's connection through the synapse. So I think this smartphone is a synapse connecting my brain to the Dimitri brains through the technology, which can be apps, can be AI. So I think sooner or later, already the singularity, the technology, passing over the human's brain. So physical AI will come to our life in real situation. Definitely the hospitality and well-being, the senior digitalization seniors, they are all depends on technology. The things is how psychologically and philosophically overcome this kind of AI prison. It's not a matter of a technology itself, but matter of a psychology and philosophy approach right now. It's a game of between human and human, human and machine. It's not, as a humans, like Dimitri is a human, as a few humans, we are human. So we are chatting each other and smiling each other and scorning each other and okay. But what if I talking and chatting with the machine and the android? It's not gonna be fun. But people are probably friendly, more favorably talking with GPT embedded in Android. It's a non-zero humanness, but people are more like the physical AI. Definitely, they listening my demand, my request.
All right, Jihan, are AI better decision makers, better revenue managers?
It's been well said by all panelists. Only very quickly, I'll just give you a couple of examples. Waymo, maybe, and you know pretty well in California. It's the autonomous robot taxi. You probably have seen that's one of the best examples of agentic AI. It makes decisions by itself. In variety of different cases in California, it didn't actually stop by the school bus. When the school bus stops in America, it gives the stop sign, which allows the cars to stop and the kids can cross the street safely. So there are many, many examples are like this that are happening, which we are seeing. Air Canada has another example of their robot chatbot actually giving thousands of free tickets to bereavement people that are traveling with funerals, etc. So I think we are still not there yet. It will eventually happen, and that's one of the biggest concerns, that what happens if AI takes the control and does not allow us to interfere, which can happen actually based on all the things. So those are the really important questions. I don't think that, at least I don't have any answer for it, but that's definitely something that we have to tackle.
I was recently in a Zoox, which is an autonomous car, I think owned by Amazon, and it was an incredibly bad driver. I was expecting a lot more. And it kind of also makes me think of your example, Professor Rao, where you said the pilot had this feeling that the engine was not sounding right. Are human feelings important for decisions? Do you have any thoughts about that? Will AI be better at decision making, or is it going to be the humans with those intuitions?
So let me give you an example which I read about today. It's not directly related to your question, but it's peripherally related. And this is Anthropic reached out to the Wall Street Journal and said that Claudio could be utilized for running Wall Street Journal's vending machine. So the vending machine, of course, would require inventory because people keep eating stuff, and so it would have to worry about pricing, and then it would have to respond to customers. Apparently, what happened was that within a week, all the inventory had been given away for free, including a PlayStation that it had bought for marketing purposes. And then it ordered a live fish, and it offered to buy pepper spray, cigarettes, and underwear. Now, the reason why I bring up this example is these were all driven by customer emotions. So, of course, when things are free, customers are happy. But that doesn't make business sense. Yeah, and then buying a PlayStation, which was not actually in the vending machine original inventory, but going outside it, again, driven by emotions. So these are things that you really need to have appropriate guardrails. Otherwise, it eventually will not work out. Just an anecdote.
Yeah, great example. We have time for one more question. Who has a question for the panel? No? If not, then maybe just a 2-3 word statement, concluding statement. What should we take away from the session, Dimitrios?
I think we're going to uncharted water. I think the potential is huge. I'm an evangelist, so look forward to good things. I think we also need to be looking to all the challenges that are coming forward, but we're going to a very different space, and we need to recognize this.
Phil?
So the final thought on this, I think tourism is just a field with so many fascinating opportunities in order to understand technology. AI is one of those. And now AI is becoming such a big idea, right? It permeates through all these spaces, right? So if you look at tourism, we have to understand where are the connections, the important critical points, right? In order to understand AI.
Chomo?
I think AI is a kind of a confidence tool. So with AI, we are going to open up new era. So I think we should AI not as a tool, but another brain together
Okay.
with that for the
Great.
future.
Jihan?
I would just say that in this conference, there are lots of great researchers that are tackling these issues that we talked in this panel. I invite everybody to submit their papers to Journal of Hospital Tourism Technology, where I'm the editor-in-chief. So let's solve these problems together. Yeah, that's my last words, yeah.
Perfect. Professor Rao?
Yeah. I was thinking that perhaps AI can become a catalyst for sustainable tourism, cut waste, idle time, optimize energy, balance demand. And I see potential for that, and perhaps that can happen in the future.
Great. I think that's very important, and definitely within the framework of smart tourism, because that sustainability pillar is very important too. So I would like to ask you to stay online just for a second, because we're going to take a picture. But thank you, everyone. Very good session. Thank you.